Hey, it's time to start. 10 o'clock and we are here. I'm sorry, I don't have a workshop agenda, so I guess we're going to cancel it. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
You got what we got?
I got one. It's right here.
Central Time, Chicago, huh?
We are on, yeah, by 10 o'clock this morning. Let's see how many people have already been shot in Chicago. Anybody want to guess?
About 20.
Probably by the end of the day, another 20, so we'll be good. The morning shift of shooters are out. Okay, we're going to start the budget workshop. Today we're going to have two things on the budget workshop. We're going to talk about, we have Lupe at 10, Mark Haby at 10:15, Judge Cashin at 10:30, the Extension Service at 10:45, Lynette Drury at 11, and Eduardo Lopez, the Auditor, at 11:15. And then we're going to talk a little bit about subdivision rules. We have a question that's come up that I need everybody to be on board with, okay? And that's our second agenda item. So with that, we're going to go ahead, and as y'all know, when we do these, we're here to listen. We're not taking any action, but Lupe, you're up.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Mine is easy peasy.
Oh, well then shoot, go sit down.
Yeah.
We got the money in here.
I only
You didn't
have,
tell it, we don't have the money.
on my regular line item budgets, I only have two increases that I'm asking to increase. One of them is the telephone services, and the other one is my seasonal workers. Every year, every other year, I get an election thrown in that it's not planned for. We have no way of knowing whether we're going to have one or not. So the state says you have to run an election, and that's what we do. So my seasonal worker line item, obviously, is over budget now because of that one that I had in May. So that's why I'm asking you.
You're over budget right now?
Yes, sir.
Well, doesn't the state pay for these elections?
No, sir.
Oh, okay.
No.
They're mandated, but,
They're mandated, unfunded mandates. You know how that goes.
right.
So I show you to be under budget, but am I wrong?
You're
I
under budget.
have 531, what do you have?
You're under budget,
630?
$14,000.
Yeah, I'm going to 6:30. Yeah.
What does your 631 say?
I'm going that I'm way over.
What do you got?
No, you're up, so this is
Well,
current
yeah.
activity.
Yeah, but that's the budget. But that's what I'm showing. That I'm going.
Shows me it's $14,000 too.
I can tell you,
Okay.
and we know you have to get paid for seasonal workers. We'll work it out and make sure you get enough, because obviously you got to have them.
Sure.
But I do show you're under right now, and I don't know, do you have any more elections
No,
between
he's
them?
at 71.
Yes.
He's at 71?
71, 752.
All right, then 80 looks like a good number. So,
Now, Lupe, I have a question on telephone services. So that's just for your hotspots, right? Because
No.
telephone services for all the offices within this building are getting consolidated, and they're going to be coded out at 407.
Okay. That was not.
And I can work on that number.
figure that out with him, because I also show you to be way under budget on
Yeah.
telephone services too, but
So if that's the case, then we can leave it as it is, and
Okay.
that should cover all my hotspots.
all right.
As you all may not be aware, I have AT&T and Verizon. I have two different sets of hotspots for my polling locations, so that one goes down, we have coverage, and it's more of a security issue than anything else.
That's fine, and you know what? You need to be ready for November.
Correct.
It's going to be a fun November, okay?
We're working, yes it is, we're working on it as we speak. That brings me to the other issue at hand, is I have a part-timer right now. Last year, I asked for a full-time, you gave me a part-timer. I'd really like for that individual to become a full-time person. Work in that office has increased so much in the last 4 years. Elections has changed so much in the last 4 years.
How are the registrations coming in right now? Are you having a lot of registrations countywide, or is it
Yeah.
mainly on the east side of town?
I don't have it breaking down but usually in 2A is, as
2A.
it's growing, we're getting a lot of people from that area as well. Yeah.
Are you caught up on all that? Yeah, there was a big backlog when you came in of having to scan in and...
We have done over 15,000 voter registration scanned, over 15,000. We had like 5 brown filing cabinets.
Right,
Those are empty right now. We're almost finished with those.
Good.
And we have a green cabinet that is full.
okay,
And my part-timer right now is actually working on that pretty steady, and we're making a dent.
good.
Yeah,
Because that's, I remember the brown filing cabinets, so they're empty. That's awesome.
yeah. So, yeah, we're
Good.
getting it done. This brings me to my last request.
You started and said there was only 2.
On my
Now you're on
9
number 4.
On 9 item, we're number 4. So easy peasy. I would like to have a pay range for my staff from $15 to $20 an hour. The people that are, when they apply, and I tell them it starts at $12.50 or $12.60, a lot of them say, I can't do that. Right now, I have one that's making 17. She's been here 14 years. And I can tell you one thing, that I would sure hate to lose that experience in that office. Very valuable experience. I have another one that's 15.46 an hour. By January, she's going to become a certified registered official. Once that happens, that's another individual that I do not want to lose. She handles all my absentee ballots. And you may not know this, but the new legislature came up with new laws. And they're bringing in new laws just about every year, every other year. And just trying to keep up with all those takes very individuals that are capable of understanding all those laws. So that's why I'm asking to have that pay range of $15 to $20. Not that I'm going to take them all the way up to 20, but at least I like to have that flexibility.
Well, where's your cap at right now? We got some people asking for big pay raises, and they're not even close to their cap yet.
Yeah.
Where's your cap at?
I'm maxed.
Maxed out?
I'm maxed.
Okay, you're maxed on everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
The part-timer who has a college degree is making $12.86 an hour.
who's that?
Deborah Brashear. She just started, I just got her in
Okay,
a couple months ago. She's doing a great job. She's actually just done amazing with all the voter registration cards that are being scanned. So yeah,
Well, I know I've been talking to the JP ladies, and they're sitting in the same boat. You know, some of them been 20, 25 years. One of them, she just gonna retire last week or this week. You know, 13, 15 an hour,
I actually have
28 years.
Actually, I have 2 of my staff that actually have part-time
Yeah.
jobs just to try to make ends meet. And so it's a very, very touchy subject. And again, I am where I am because of those ladies in that office. Every election, at the end of every election, I hope that you all are happy with the results, or not necessarily of the contest itself, but of how everything went. So,
It always runs smooth.
well, and that's because of the
Nobody's
staff.
complaining. Nobody's complaining about these.
And I don't know, have you heard anything on this new software that'll make us take out again? That they haven't, we had it in our last conference. It's gonna be a brand new software, and it's not gonna be paid for. And
yeah, we get all high.
what did they tell us on that one is gonna be, they don't even know what the rules are yet, but they're gonna make us take it.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to a conference, election law conference in August. So if something like that was mentioned, I'm pretty sure we're going to hear from it in August.
The people that make the computer don't even know what they're doing yet.
It's gonna be a no-no.
Yeah, shove it down, it's gonna be another one that shove it down our throat. It's
Well,
not-
and that's what was brought up at your conference, Commissioner. I'm pretty sure that we're going to hear something about it in August. So that's something to look forward to.
Let us know when you come back
Well, definitely.
what you hear, because
Definitely.
obviously,
your Hart and the ESS people over there, they don't know nothing, they don't even know nothing about it. They were up talking. And how, the last implication we had, which I think is the finest thing you ever done, is satisfied some of the people that wanted the paper ballot. I think that was a good one, even though we got some of the money refunded, or the biggest part of it refunded. But this one here, they don't know how it's gonna be funded yet, and it's gonna be expensive. That's all they want.
Like everything else.
How many people you have? 4 people in your office?
Yes, and myself.
That includes the part-time Francis Tapia,
Jeannie Longoria.
Jeannie Longoria, and Nina Parrish, right? Okay,
Okay?
thank you, Lupe.
Yes, sir. Thank you, gentlemen.
Another unfunded mandate.
Did you just want to get it for me?
No, you don't want to, don't worry about it. Thank you.
It's 10, almost 10:15, but we'll go ahead since you're here.
All right.
You're next, Mark.
Oh, great. How y'all doing? Good morning.
Good morning. Good, how are you?
Is it possible that it may not be recorded? The only reason I ask is we have some folks that like to make open records requests on these things.
It's strictly, we're not recording it, okay?
Okay.
He's recording it, but I'm just gonna say, it's
Oh, good.
it's a public record. If somebody wants to make an
I
open,
am recording it for my purposes, because midway through the year, I forget what we talked about.
Yeah, that's fine.
well, what happens is Eduardo will write down notes, and then he's not always a good note taker.
Okay.
All right? I'm just gonna be the first to criticize him,
I'm not opposed.
but we are not recording it. She's not recording it, so we have no official recording going on
Okay.
right now.
Because there's
FYI, other than
Newspaper.
they can always go to the newspaper and get it.
there's
So, go ahead.
Some folks in other areas that like to make open records requests
I know.
and stuff. So.
Yeah, other parts of the country.
All right. Good
But
morning,
unfortunately,
fellas.
everything they ask for, we're gonna have to give them because it's, except for personnel files.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
everything's a public record here, as you know.
Yes.
You get to read them.
All right. Well, I hope
Go
y'all
ahead.
are in a good mood this morning.
He don't mess that up for you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I want to thank y'all.
All
for
I
the
can
time.
say is whoever comes in last is gonna be in the worst
Yeah,
place.
yeah, that's right. So thank y'all for the time this morning. Coming in and asking for money is never a pleasant thing. I do have some slight increases in some areas. I don't think it's anything shocking, and I think we can justify a lot of it. I do have some notes. I'd like to first begin by saying, looking at the budget, let's start off with the prosecutor's salaries. I'm asking for a slight increase in the salaries of the prosecutors, and just a little background and supporting information on this. Hiring and retaining skilled prosecutors in rural areas is a challenge. I was recently at a TDCAA seminar, the civil conference at the Menger, and what they did a breakout session where they took us smaller community prosecutors to a separate room to say, we need to talk about this. How many of you folks are having trouble hiring and retaining prosecutors? Now, I've been fortunate in that I've been able to swipe a couple of real good ones in the last couple of years from Bexar County, very effective, highly experienced prosecutors. But it's not just Medina County, it's some of the smaller counties that this is becoming a problem. With us, it's a little bit maybe more of a problem because we're competing against the larger counties, and right next door we have Bexar County. I did bring the Bexar County salary list if anybody wants to review it. It is substantially higher than what we can offer. Now, I'm not asking for anything along those lines, but if anybody would like to review the Bexar County salary list, it is substantially higher than what we pay the prosecutors in this county. The first assistant, just for an example, my first assistant is making just a little over 90. The first assistant in Bexar County earns $177,000, or $177,168 is what they make. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for slight, reasonable increases. Our first assistant actually earns less than all the numerous first chair felony prosecutors in Bear County. There's many of them. First chair felony prosecutor in Bear County earns a minimum salary. The least one I could find on the list was $98,292.
You have any vacancies?
We have a civil.
Are you worried about me?
No.
We
Oh.
do. We are
You have
requesting.
open positions?
Right now, we're blessed. We don't.
So who took Humberto's place?
We
You got
have one
Nikki?
coming in. We've hired, so technically, right now, there's a vacancy, but it's been filled.
So
And-
it doesn't exist.
Right, so we're waiting for bar results, but we are able to hire her on a third-year bar card at a reduced rate. And then when she is licensed officially, she will then move up to the salary of the prosecutor that left to go to the public defender's office.
Is this the one that's, we were gonna bring her in at a lower salary right now? Is that what
Correct.
we've done?
That's correct,
To
yes.
fill, Humberto's making 73.5, just so.
73.
Last page, go to the last page.
73, and I think we've got her to agree to come in at 65.
Yeah.
And then when she is fully licensed, because on a third-year bar card, she can do anything we do as long as she's supervised.
Right,
So once she's licensed, then she would move up to the 73 or whatever it is that you would be willing to grant for what Humberto's up to. And in fact, we were asking for 75 on that.
These salary increases that you've listed here, are they based on a percentage or are they just here and there?
They're not. What we did was I looked at a reasonable number that I think would get me to a point where I wasn't in fear of losing them. I've already lost one to the public defender, and he did it right. He came and talked to me and said, look, I gotta go make more money. So by going next door to the public defender, he made a $17,000 a year raise. So I'm not asking for $17,000 on any of these. I'm just simply asking for, some of them are a few.
I mean, it's not based on the percentage.
It's not, no sir. It's not a percentage. Just kind of what I thought I could retain them with, keep them
I ain't
working.
gonna worry about it.
And one thing I wanted to let you know that the minimum, as I was saying, the minimum salary for a first chair is $98,292, and those salaries reach as high as $162,618. That's right next door in Bear County. Our prosecutors that are working at substantially less are handling the exact same type of cases, and not only that, they're winning them. They are undefeated in jury trials in our county. So,
let's go down to the administrative assistants.
yes,
You don't list all of them here, but what you're trying to do is move those three bottom down to be equal to what the other three are already making, right? The other two?
yes,
Joe and,
3.
well, no, I think,
Where we at?
yeah, you get,
Yes.
see, you're the office manager, so I
Vicky's
think.
the office manager,
Vicky
so
makes
what
more.
I'd like to do, when we inherited the misdemeanors, the staff that had come from the county attorney's office was making less than the staff at the DA's office. We just want to equalize them. And one of the things I would point out, one of the ladies that I'm trying to equalize, she was here last year. She got a 45-year service award with this county, and she's making less than a lot of other people in this county. She's approaching retirement, and one of the things I was, concerned about open records, but she is a good-hearted lady. She is a hardworking lady, church-going lady. She would never do it, but if somebody looked at that and said, you have a female, Hispanic, older lady making a pittance of what other people in this county make, it could be legal trouble, I think, for the county. You would have racial discrimination, you would have age discrimination, you would have gender discrimination, and I think that needs to be fixed to avoid any of that issue. So I think it's somewhat shameful that we have a 45-year employee making that little money. Gas is going up, and I appreciate the fact, I understand that we're looking at hopefully a 5% increase. I am deeply appreciative of that. I greatly appreciate that. But all of us know gas didn't go up 5%. Groceries didn't go up 5%. I don't know how somebody lives on $33,000 before taxes a year anymore. I just don't know how we do it. We're an affluent county, and everything has gone up drastically. So I appreciate the 5% greatly. I'm asking for a little more before the 5%.
For those three.
Yes, and for some of the
Hey, you
prosecutors.
left Todd off here, is that a reason?
What I want to do there, we may, I don't know for sure, we may have some staff changes coming up. We have a little bit, as you know, apportionment money from the state. So if I do need to bring in eventually another investigator, I can reallocate or move some money around within the office, so I don't need to ask you guys for additional funds for that. I'm going to do what I can with what I have.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons I have on there. And just want to mention that we are competing against the Bexar County and the public defender, and they all do great work. Not jealous of those guys. I'm just saying I don't want to lose staff to them. As y'all know, I lost one prosecutor, and he did it right. He came and talked to me ahead of time, and I fully understood. He just needed to make more money for he and his family than what Medina County was paying, and he went right next door for a $17,000 a year raise. So I get it. It's just going to hurt me if I lose any more. Yes, and then what we were looking for is, I hope our request is considered. We are asking for one position, which is a civil attorney. We are now a criminal district attorney's office. We have to do some civil stuff that maybe wasn't done in the past. We do get a number of open records requests. I was dealing with another one just yesterday. Julie and I are dealing with those. We had several have to go up to the Attorney General for a determination. It's a little time consuming. That handbook, as you know, is this thick. It's voluminous. You really have to know it. We have called the hotline to ask their attorneys for a little bit of advice. It would be nice to have a civil attorney on staff to handle the open records, not just for us, but to handle for the whole county. And not only that, we've been doing contract review for the county, juvenile probation when they come in. Sometimes for these placement facilities, we're reviewing those contracts. The county's purchase of properties, we're looking at those contracts. We would keep a civil lawyer very, very busy. And anytime they have left over, I can put them on juvenile cases that the DA's office didn't used to have to do. I could put them to work. And one of the things I'll mention, I don't know if y'all know, but the Office of the Attorney General has the Open Government Open Records Conference in November coming up this year. Wonderful training, and it's not limited to attorneys. I recommend that every department send somebody to that. But we would keep the civil attorney very busy. I would say in asking for that position, I don't see it as we're going up a lawyer, because if you look at the old 38th DA office, when we were separated from the misdemeanors and you count the lawyers, that's going to get us back to the same number that both offices were at combined. And now we have misdemeanors, we have JP cases, we have juvenile cases, we have a really big workload, so I think we could justify getting equal to what the number of lawyers used to be. And one of the things I would
Hold on, the
mention...
chief of staff's coming,
Yes.
so we need to...
Oh, yes, yes, and the salary that I was asking for the civil attorney, $85,000. That really is, I think, low for a civil lawyer, but I think I have some good candidates that would take it for that. Need to post it, need to take all applications. I think I can get somebody in there for that. Next door in Bexar County, the civil attorneys make substantially more. Civil attorneys in private practice usually make substantially more than that, but I think I can get somebody in for $85,000, so that was what we were asking on that. And one of the things I would just bring up, there was a letter sent by a DA up the road that ruffled some feathers. I chose not to sign off on that letter. I declined and said I would rather just talk to my commissioners and my judge discreetly and, here. I don't know if all the facts and figures and everything in that letter were accurate. Some of the things in her approach I didn't like. I refused to sign off on it. And the only reason I bring it up is not only does she list the public defender salaries, which several are much higher, but she lists the other prosecutor salaries from the other counties. And Medina County, when you look at it, is lower than most of the other 5 counties in the district comprised by the Public Defender's Office. But the reason I bring that letter up is, I don't know if you all know Carly Cannell, who's the Chief Public Defender. She wrote a great response, and I kind of liked her response, you know. She said, to that DA, she said, you need to look at Medina County. They are doing more cases with less staff, and what she didn't say was with less pay. So when you look at those numbers, she said basically it looked like Kerr County had the highest case count, but Kerr County doesn't handle the JP cases. So when you look at all the 4 JPs, Medina County's got the highest case count, I believe, and we are lower paid. My prosecutors are lower paid than those prosecutors, less of us. So I think we're just kind of knocking it out of the park, and that's why I'm asking for those increases.
And when you say JP cases, that's the ones that are appealed, right?
Yes, sir.
No, actually, the JP courts themselves.
They first, yes, yes, Commissioner. We start at the JP level, and sometimes they want bench trials down there, especially in Precinct 4, where they're CDL drivers and they have a lot to lose. They'll come in and want a bench trial, and sometimes the attorneys will try them and then appeal them, or sometimes they'll just appeal them up.
Okay.
But in Kerr County, they have a county attorney like we used to have. The county attorney does all the JP cases.
So theirs is effective.
In Kerr, okay, in Kerr, and in Gillespie. So what's happened is when we abolished the county attorney spot,
Yeah.
all those cases fell on him too.
Right.
So when you compare Kerr and their caseload to Medina, it's really not accurate because Kerr doesn't have the JPs, he does.
Right.
And one of the things too, with 5 of us, there's days we've had JP bench trials at the same time we've had a district court felony trial going on. There's days we've been in district court, just arraignment docket. We've got prosecutors in one of the JP courts. We've gotten real good at being in 2 places at once, but we have to kind of dilute the manpower to be able to do it. So there's times we've been in juvenile court when right next door in the district court we're in a felony jury trial. So we're spread thin.
Just to move it along,
Yes.
question. You asked for 20,000 in office supplies, and you're way under budget right now. Is
We
there
are.
a
I did look into
expected
that.
increase?
And yes, staff there. So what we've done, as y'all know, we've gone to TechShare, which is working great. We're live, we're online. As an older guy, I'm getting used to the paperless thing. That's a change for me. But it's saving money on some stuff, but what we need to do is be a little more portable now when we go to court. And we could have put that maybe in capital outlay. That might be a mistake on our part, and if so, I apologize. But we are going to be looking for Microsoft Surfaces. We're going to be looking for iPads or Surfaces so we can be more mobile. And we don't carry physical files now to the courtroom. We carry Surfaces and iPads. And
So you have 10,000 requests under capital, under equipment,
right.
that you didn't have before, so would that cover your surfaces?
That's
You
probably.
think so? We don't know what it's gonna run.
Yeah.
Edward?
And I hope there's no information.
2,000 with all the
Okay.
Microsoft and.
That's just-
I'm going to say, I
How
hope
many do
there's
you
no
need?
one from HTS here.
I'm thinking 4. You
Okay.
think 4, Mark?
I think so.
So
I think 4.
We could probably,
It's at the most 4.
so if we leave the 10,000 in the equipment, that should cover the surface requests.
And if we
And
get
then
some
we can knock
this
the other
year,
thing down
Yes.
to 10.
if we get some this year with the 15,000 that we still have in capital outlay.
That would be great.
Cover all of it.
And we are more than willing
That
to.
would be even better
Yeah,
if you bought them under,
we're more than willing to
This
work
year.
with the courts and do what we can. I will say, HTS,
Yeah.
when I can walk into Best Buy and buy something
We'll adjust
for, I am
those.
shocked when I have to buy it through HTS because we have a contract with them, they have the service
Sure.
contract on it. So that's why we have to ask for more, because it's substantially more to buy it through our vendor.
okay.
But I think everything else is pretty much in line. There's maybe a slight increase on vehicle maintenance, lube, oil. We have an office car. We have one for each investigator and then one that the prosecutors use when we have to go to Devine or something like that. It's an older vehicle and it's going to run into a little bit more maintenance. The air conditioner's out on it right now. So that's why you'll see some increases on that. I think the total budget line increase we were looking at, including the new attorney position. If my math was right, it was just 130-some thousand, touch under 140. That includes a new lawyer position and all of the increases. And again, I do appreciate the 5%. I think if we can get that, that's wonderful. I think Bear County got one next door. And I know their DA was going to Commissioner's Court to ask for more increases for their prosecutors over and above that, which is going to make it harder for me to retain. I think I've got everything. Vicki, is there anything I missed?
I don't think they want to hear the individual, but we can obviously see. So
Do y'all have any questions on any of it? Let's do it that way.
No.
Glad to answer any questions you have.
So last year you had a remainder of 50,000 in your salary line. Are you gonna max out your budget, or you still got room in there?
It's down 250,000.
Where are we down?
Second, the other salary,
I'm looking,
okay.
Commissioner, to see where you're at.
there's about a $500,000 increase here.
what was the question? Pardon my comment.
So there's how much in the budget line?
So last year,
Right.
we were about 50,000 under budget.
Okay. Well, adding the new position, without the new position, if we were 50,000 under budget on salary, I don't believe, without doing the math, I don't believe that would max it out.
Well, my question is, so if you're gonna be 50,000 under this year, then could you take that money, increase the ones you want, and still be within your budget line?
And so typically, we don't ever budget salaries because that's something we handle outside of it. So that number that he put in there, if he's at full staff, that's what his budget, I think he's asking his budget to be. But we don't usually ask anybody to budget that part because we're gonna decide if he's gonna get another person. We're also gonna decide what the raises are. So typically, right now, he's under budget, probably because he was running short on staff at
Well,
times and
that's
stuff
right.
like that.
Yeah, Tim, I think what you're asking is, yes, he's gonna be at that budget amount at the end of the year.
If we give him what he's asking for, that's where he wants to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And then I'm sorry, last thing in closing, if you'll look, it wasn't agreed on my part, I was concerned about something. I asked, if you look at my stipend or my supplement, it's $6,777 currently. I was asking for $7,500 even. Please don't think that's a greed thing. I know that, I don't even know what the Bear County, it's over 100,000 his supplement. I think the DAs and Kerr and Kendall were 15,000 stipend or something. I'm asking for $7,500 just simply because I carry county insurance. And Ms. Moody would be able to address this, but so that little stipend at the end of every pay period, when they take all my deductions and my insurance, there's $70 left. And I'm fine.
I'll take that too.
Yeah, I'm fine with the $70, but what I fear is if insurance or something goes up, I don't want my insurance to lapse for lack of payment, or I'm gonna have to write a personal check to the county every month so that I have health insurance for me and my family. So that's why I asked for a slight increase on that, because we're cutting it very close. I have $70 left.
No, what insurance are you talking about?
That doesn't even fill my
the
truck.
county, he's on the county.
Health insurance.
Okay, health insurance.
Okay.
So-
Not that I'm against
Now-
that 7,500, but if there is gonna be an increase, 2.5.
That's on our agreement.
But we take that increase.
Not
The
Okay.
county takes on that.
So if the
But-
county
but not
pays it-
saying that I'm against it.
Yeah, if the county pays it, we're good. I just worry, you know how things always creep
Sure.
up, and now they're gonna say, you don't have enough in your stipend to be on the county insurance or something. And what I would ask is, if mine's increased, in fairness, it should probably be an increase for Judge Kindred, because I think we're tied by statute together. So that's the only reason I proposed that. I'm glad to answer any questions you guys may have.
You just cut 4 minutes out of Judge Cashin's time. so
Uh-oh.
you-
All right.
I just thought I'd throw it out for you,
Well, I could
okay?
have asked for a pay raise, but that's the reason I could do, huh?
But
Thank y'all.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Judge Cashin. Hey, you only have 11 minutes now, okay? But you can take it out on him in court,
I was
okay?
gonna save y'all some time, or save you some money.
When you're in court the next time, take it out on him.
That's right. Okay, last time I appeared in front of y'all, I had packets. If I can approach, I've got packets again for y'all. And each each of these, I'll kind of cover them with you in a moment. What I did was pulled some statistics off of the Office of Court Administration. What I want to point out, the first page that you see,
How do you get 157% clearance?
because we're moving more than getting filed. So what OCA wants us to do is that performance index that you see there, backlog index, we're supposed to be 1.0 or below. As you can see from 2000.
1.0 means that you're disposing with exactly the same amount of cases that are coming in. So if you're below it, sorry, I'm just.
No, you're right, that's right.
I want to make sure they understand
Are you
that.
on page 1?
Page.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're clearing more cases according to OCA than what are getting filed. And that goes from January 1st of 2019 through April 30th of 2022, which means that's all during the COVID situation also.
And other reasons.
I'm sorry?
And other reasons.
Yes, but you look at the second page, and this shows the surrounding counties and their performance indexes. And I've got, the CCL is at second from the bottom. We were 0.8, 0.7, and 0.3. If you look at the other counties, Bandera County had a 0.8 in criminal, and that's the only one who was 1.0 or below in this entire area, except Medina County Court at Law. Which shows I've got 2 court coordinators that are moving their cases, which means they're getting people out of jail quicker, off of the county bill, and we're moving the civil cases a lot faster, which is saving the county money. As I go through this, if y'all got a question, hit me with it, because...
So apparently, Gordon District and the Jet.
Right, a lot of these counties...
Freel's
shut down.
worse.
Real.
Freel's real bad.
They're flat
Yeah.
asleep.
A lot of the counties shut down. We've been
retired
moving the
already.
whole time, and we still are.
Yeah.
If you go to the third page, I've got down at the bottom what Shanna and Jana's current salaries are. And then this is that salary range from the survey that was done. Jana doesn't even make it into the bottom end. Shanna barely makes it into the bottom end. What I'm looking at today is I want to get them at least to the middle. If they're doing the best in this entire area, they should at least be paid the average, not the very bottom, when we're moving more cases than anybody else around here with the work that they're doing. I've also attached their job descriptions, and wanted to just point out a couple things. Both of them are cross-trained in each other's jobs. I've got a criminal court coordinator and a civil court coordinator. If one of them is out for any reason, they both know how, we can keep the court running because they both know how to do each other's jobs. Additionally, and I think I pointed this out last time, technology-wise, they help people in this courthouse all the time because they are very good in that area of technology. We do the court recording, both of them are certified to do the court recording, which saves a huge amount of money for this county. I mean, court reporter, if you can get one, is going to be over $100,000 a year, plus benefits for that court reporter. I'm asking for their raises to get them to average. I visited with Eduardo earlier this morning and asked his permission if it's okay to share this. Looking at my budget, we don't go over. The only time we were over budget was my fault, because I ruled against somebody that, yes, you do have to pay child support in Texas when you get divorced, and he sued me and the Attorney General and everybody else, so the county had to hire me an attorney. It's the only area we went over budget on was when the county had to hire me an attorney.
Back to the court reporters, didn't we go to a recording system rather than the...
He has a.
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Mine are certified to do that court recording system. This is not just punch a button and sit back and let it record. It's an active job. The entire time we're in court, I have them in there, and they're having the input. Who's speaking, objections, rulings. So it's not just a hit it and go. And the thing is, I love the recording system, but according to OCA and the Supreme Court, if a judge comes in and says, nope, I want a court reporter, then they have to be provided a court reporter. I don't want a court reporter, because I've got 2 staff members that are very good at their job on doing that. And by doing that, we're saving at a minimum. If you give me what I'm asking,
So
we're still saving $80,000.
There's not a duplication of efforts?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. So either way, look at it. And if this makes any of the commissioners feel better, I'm asking that my phone budget go down to $1,000 instead of $2,500. I have also, I think at the very back, I have included their job descriptions. Both Shanna and Jana have been here, I didn't even ask before I came down, but it's probably right at 20 years, close to 20 years for each one of them. They're very loyal, and they make that office run. So I'm asking that they be raised up to the mid-range, which would be, if it was right on the money, I think it was $21,250 that I would be asking that line item to be raised. So that sounds a lot better than what Mark Haby had when he was asking for a lot more money on salaries. The other services, I think I requested that to go from $2,500 to $5,000. That's the one where I got hit because of those legal charges, but I don't think we've been over in the past on that, so I don't know if that.
Well, hopefully you won't get sued again.
Hopefully not, but some guys don't want to pay child support. The phone down. The only other items I think that I had that was a change, and this isn't really in my office, this is for the law library. That's not something we really have any discretion on. We were at 60,000. We got our notice, and I believe y'all already approved the contract. So Westlaw went up, and they raised it $1,200 for this year. So I asked just to make it an even 63,000 because we do have books and things like that that we add other than Westlaw. I believe that's all that I have. And I know previously I did kind of point out what the workload that we do, and in the past, I haven't run those numbers again, but they're going to be fairly similar, I think, to what they were in the past. And we were running about, on the low end, 64% up to 77.8% of the docket we're moving through our court. So I have 2 people that are working extremely hard that should be being paid less than everybody else around us that are not working this hard. That's why I'm asking the y'all to get them up there at least to the mid-range from that salary. Anything?
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank y'all.
All right, so now you're going to give the extension service some of your time.
Yes.
That's good. Come on up. So, Taryn, y'all met him about 2 months ago. Taryn's new with us. Elyse has been with us for how long?
Like 5 months, I believe.
5 months? Perfect. Part of y'all's salaries comes from the state, right?
Yes.
And then part of it comes from us?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that because otherwise y'all aren't getting paid much. I'm sure y'all probably think you're not getting paid much anyway. But our part is pretty low, so who's talking?
Yeah, Becky's gonna have to help us out because she's been through it all and has been able to see the changes and it will explain it a little.
Okay.
Yes, so Becky Martinez. So back in 2019, 2020's budget year, Sandra Conkle was with us in the FCH part of it. And then of course Andy Hatcher came in as well. What happened somewhere in between that time, Sandy decided instead of doing stipend, she was going to go and do her travel based on like reimbursement travel. So there was a switch in money at some point, and it was like $6,000 at the time, where she decided that she wanted to go ahead and get her travel pay based on exactly the mileage that was going to be reimbursed to her. So they had to adjust the budget at that time for her pay to come out of what they call reimbursable travel versus the travel allowance that is put in there for agents. Of course, COVID came in there, and then Sandy was retiring that year, 2020, March of 2020, I believe, was her retirement time. So we didn't have her travel coming out anymore. Andy was the only active agent at that time. We've been kind of at the point where we've had one agent versus 2. So there's been a couple of years where we've had half, with one agent. Now we have 2 agents. And they have to both get their stipend each month, and they'll both continue to get their travel stipend coming out automatically. So that's why we had to increase the travel allowance to be accessible with 2 agents. And that's $10,500 for each one per year, which totals $21,000. We could go down on our reimbursable travel. We could take that back down to where it normally was at $2,300, and that's just to cover reimbursable travel that Debbie Bowdenchuk, our 4-H assistant, she gets reimbursed on her travel pay when she does it. It's not, and sometimes it doesn't even reach the 2,000 mark. It all depends on what's happening that year and how much travel she has to do for the kiddos. So we can in turn take that back down and move that money back up to the travel allowance if need be. But we're still looking at a difference of $4,500 that we would need to cover both agents at both getting 10.5 for the year.
So right now, how do y'all do travel? It comes into reimbursable? You just turn in an expense report?
No, it's added to our paycheck every time we
The
get paid.
the 10.5?
It's
added
divided.
to yours and yours? Okay.
Yeah, so like Becky was saying, I don't remember which way, I believe it was the other way where they used to get reimbursed based on travel throughout the month. They would submit a document, X amount of miles, and they would get reimbursed. And then when Andrew came on board, I think he's the one that wanted the allowance, the set monthly allowance. That was approved, we gave him that, and then we kept that going, but we also kept reimbursable travel. So we were doing 2 at one point. Now they're asking just to do a flat travel allowance, very
Like we
similar
do.
to what commissioners get monthly, and the travel reimbursement will be minimal, because that will be just short trips here.
Yeah. For Debbie and other people that don't have a travel, this is mainly for you two.
Yes, the travel allowance will be just them.
If I may ask, what is your salary from the state? How much do they pay y'all? Do you know?
Yeah, well, it differs. I only get like a one paycheck a month, and it's $1,500 usually, something around there.
Okay, I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah,
Do you know?
but it depends, like as.
It's almost just above Stormy.
It's not
Yeah.
a lot.
Okay, I just wanted to, and I'll get with Glenda on that to make sure I understand how that all works, so, okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. Anything else? Next.
That was the only thing that we had that was a big difference in what it looked like. And of course, if you look down at it, it says, whoa, 10.5, now you ask 21,000. Well, it would be because it's.
That comes out to about $875 a month for
Yes.
Yeah.
B1. Okay.
Yes, it would be 875 per agent.
Did I change mine?
You can do whatever you want. You got 180 some days, so. Question, and this isn't having to do with this, but I know we're getting ready, and on Thursday, we're gonna go out for bids to redo the treasurer's old office, so they can make it into a training room and stuff, right? Presentation room?
A kitchen.
Spread out area.
a little conference
Spread out.
area.
That's right.
So I can go to your building for
That's a
lunch.
good idea.
They're gonna cook lunch on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Perfect.
Okay? Question. I know and I told Pat that we'll pay for the TVs or whatever, but all the kitchen equipment, is that part of the bid we're going out on? Or is that, does the A&M have money to, those tight Aggies, you know?
He said it right here.
You won't hear that often, okay? But, do I need to call the dean of the college?
Maybe some of the alumni can come through.
It's all in that bid?
Yeah, it's all in that bid because
Okay.
it's kind of, he goes in there and
Okay.
asks what we would like.
Was it really putting in the kitchen?
Well, so they can, she
We can
does
do
the home demonstration.
Yeah.
So
So what's on
and
the
for
menu?
kids, there's 4-H,
Very good.
so they can
What's on the
do,
menu?
On the menu?
right now, they struggle to find places to do things, because there's not a lot of places to do it,
You know, like home economics.
but home economics, well,
I want to tell you,
I think
when
that's.
I went through high school, 3 years in a row, home economics, right here.
and he can still cook.
I still cook.
Okay,
He
okay.
is good.
Awesome for us then.
I was looking for a girlfriend. Me and one other guy in there, we had to teach him to dance at all.
Did you find one?
Yeah, murder.
Okay, good.
She still can't cook.
She failed and you passed.
Yep, 51 years worth.
So, well, yeah, so you can have Commissioner Sitter come over and do a cooking class.
I'd love to. I don't use nothing out of a can or a box.
So, okay, so I think, I told Pat to tell, Keith has a good line on TV, so, did Pat talk about that?
I was telling Edward, I'll get with Pat, I'll double check. I need to check the whole project, so they have one of those refrigerators left.
Oh, yeah, I think they had mentioned that, right? If
So
there was
I'll
a
double
fridge,
check that.
yeah.
Okay, well, it's been a long time of getting it done, but I think we figured out it's gonna be close to 50,000, so we're just gonna go out for bids to be safe. And that'll be on Thursday, so, perfect. Anything else?
No.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'd say see you next year, but I won't, so,
You never know.
so,
Might show up for something.
so Beck and I may just come sit in the audience and watch,
Just to have
see how, bye y'all, thank you.
Don't hold your breath. Oh, and by the way, at noon on Saturday, we'll be halfway through.
Really?
Yep.
There's no Saturday.
Noon on Saturday.
It's good to know, thank you.
My phone, since you.
Okay, next we have Lynette, come on up.
Been waiting on this one.
Oh.
Man,
Hey, there's 10 minutes early.
hey, I just want you to know that you're, what you're looking at with Lynette, what was originally printed out, came out in such total, I was looking at with Edward while ago, and I said, why am I looking at page 187 and now I'm down to 182, the order? Huh?
They're all fixed.
I know, but they were scanned in, and somebody gave them to us in a really goofy order.
Well, if I scanned it in, it probably is that way. If June
Yes.
scanned it in, it would have been right.
Well,
Because I
it's
put
right
stuff
now.
in the scanner and go,
It
that's
is,
not going.
it is right now, so you're on.
Perfect. Okay, I'm asking to up my budget from what it was last year, another $153,000 to be exact. The majority of it is looking to go to placements for detention and post. Those are going up significantly across the states because as y'all are probably getting a taste of now, unfortunately, is getting the jail full enough to even hold people. The juvenile facilities across the state are having the same problem. It's crisis mode right now. We're having to take juveniles all the way up to Lubbock when they need to be detained. I have 2 in Victoria right now. All those facilities are going up significantly this next year on the contracts when we have to place, whether it was for detention or post-placement. So that's the number one. That's the number one reason why I'm asking for more. And unfortunately, like the sheriff's department, we have no way of predicting crime. And when our main job is to rehabilitate and protect the public, then you've got to do what you just have to do. I will say this, like right now, just for an example, we have 3 kids placed. One of them is in a completely free placement that I secured through an outside grant. The other 2 are placed as well, and they will be full reimbursements to us from another grant that I went after. So just so you know, I go after the money to try to cover what we're spending.
Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's just not possible. Sometimes we just have to, the case is bad enough that they need to be somewhere, kind of deal.
What is the state? I mean, we talked about this a
Yes.
month ago.
Yes.
What's going on right now?
So
Is there
what's going on
any
right-
movement to help?
Yes, there is.
'Cause this is a statewide problem.
It is. It's literally a crisis. Last week I was in Austin at the Capitol for a Sunset Committee meeting, or Sunset Committee was presenting to some of the legislators on that committee what they had found. Our agency got combined 12 years ago when the Sunset Committee came in and said, well, TYC is doing a cruddy job. TJPC at that time, that was probation. One was good and one was bad. So you know what? They combined us. And then they put the person that was in charge of the cruddy side, TYC, then they put her over the whole banana. And things have just been a nightmare since then. And everything that probation was afraid of happening, out of all the referrals across the state of Texas, probation handles 98% of those. 90% of them never have to go to a state facility. We take care of them across the state. So what we were afraid of is that what was going to happen is that, exactly what did happen, is that the money and the attention, of course, went to the side of the institution that dealt with the 2%, and probation, we don't get as much attention as them, but we're the ones that are keeping the kids from going to them. So fast forward, it's in a state of crisis across the state with finding people to work in facilities. Last week they said that it looks like that they're going to pay for the JSOs, juvenile supervision officers in the state side, up to $45,000. So in the hopes that they're going to get more applicants and more people to come
To work in the facility.
to work in the facilities. And of course, there's going to be a backlash on that because, probation officers are already going, they're going to get a 25% raise. And so what are y'all going to send to the field? Kind of deal. Whole other thing. They are addressing it. I think it's going to be a Band-Aid. There's, like with any disease, there's stuff underneath that's going to have to still be addressed. So, some of the gentlemen on the board were like, well, why can't we just do away with TYC or TJGD altogether and send it back to the counties? Let them deal with the really, 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 really bad kids that can't be supervised in the community. And there were several of them that spoke up and said, we're already asking the counties to encumber a lot. They're not gonna stand for that. So I think that discussion will be stamped down.
How many kids do you have out right now in placements?
3.
Just those 3, and the grant's paying for all 3 of them?
Yes.
Okay.
2 of them will be a reimbursement, and I have 2 that we just locked up the other day that I hope and have every intention of them going to placement as well because they're that dangerous.
I've heard about them, and yes, they probably should, but your judge is not here, so he didn't have to hear that. But
Yeah.
hey, do you think there's going to be more placements in the years to come? I mean, last year we were down
Yes.
because of COVID.
Yes, because another thing that's happened is so if you look at statewide stats, it looks like our offenses across the state go down, and they do. Problem is what happens as the severity of the placements or of the referrals have gone up considerably. Now you've got mental health has always been a problem across the state. We're one of the lowest in the country of taking care of mental health problems. And so hopefully there'll be some money coming that direction. But yes, along with the mental health problems not being addressed, along with CPS kids not being taken care of, crossover kids with mental health problems, the need for placements, unfortunately, are becoming higher and higher. We do try to handle everything that we can in the county, but sometimes that's just not, we don't have the resources to handle these kind of children. Nor quite honestly, if they're that much of a danger to the community, we need them someplace.
What is placement cost today?
It's going from 197 to 250
A day?
A day.
a day.
Wow.
And depending on the severity of what's going on, some of them can be going up to 300 a day.
And that's at a
That's at what's called a post-placement. So post-placement is the equivalent.
We're good.
No,
If there was some sort of
the state-
consequences
that's
for
why I
their
asked
actions,
the
they wouldn't have to do
The
this.
state needs to address this. It's not
I
just our
understand.
problem, it's the state.
I don't disagree, sir.
Thank you.
is that a jail or is that a camp placement where they're
That
doing
is for what's
something?
considered post-placement. So for layman's terms, detention is the equivalent of jail, where they're just holding them until there's a disposition determined. Post-placement is the equivalent of, now there's a disposition and we're going to send them to prison, or we're going to send them to drug rehab that's part of the prison system, because there's so many parts of the prison system. What the state is, so they don't want them in the state facilities right now. Obviously, they can't even hardly take care of them. Some of the kids in the state facilities are locked up for
Keep going, I know your story, I need to take this one.
for 22 hours a day, which means that they are not getting the rehabilitation that the judges are sending them for. What seems to work out the best, and the cost to the state averages probably $600 a day or so, because the state has to do everything more expensive, and it usually doesn't work as well. So we try to go after private placements, and then I try to get funding to cover the private placements, because they're literally half the price to the state to get the placement done better and quicker than what we're having right now. So that's the main thing, what I'm asking for a boost in.
Are most of these drug related or?
Everything. Everything. What we're seeing more of now than we've ever seen before is, not trafficking. Oh my God, I hate it when the word.
Smuggling?
Smuggling, yes.
Is what?
Smuggling.
Smuggling.
Smuggling. We've been getting more cases of smuggling than we've ever had in my last almost 25 years here.
Because they know that there are no repercussions for
That's right.
juveniles.
You are correct. They put the juveniles up to it, and the juveniles have run as young as 13 years old in our county. And smuggling for, they're getting paid $1,200, $1,000 per person that they get. And for some reason, they love to wreck out in Medina County. So that's another part of it. And those kids, there doesn't need to be accountability. Very much.
There is no accountability.
We're trying to make it that way.
Sorry.
I'm trying to make it that way.
Okay, any questions?
You've got a lot of issues in the state.
No. Really?
No, not at all.
Lots of issues.
Not at all.
Shoot.
And so that's what the part of it, the big chunk of it for. The other part of it is I'm going to put some of it in, obviously, fuel,
So-
because it's going up. And also, I would like to get a line put in our budget for transport, where when needed, we're able to hire a transport company or officers that are off duty to transport for us, because when we transport, there's two people that go, because we don't carry weapons, we don't carry mace, we don't carry NAS, we don't carry anything, so I make sure that.
What did you put into the transport budget?
I put 10,000, but after looking at some other figures, I'll probably move 20,000 over into it based on just overtime hours, because a lot of the current overtime hours are for transports, because, like when my officers have to go, when we have to go up to Lubbock, well, that's a 9-hour drive up there not including back.
How much of your budget is compensated by the state?
Okay, so that's an excellent question.
Thank you.
I love that question because we are very blessed here in Medina County. Very, very blessed.
You have answered the question.
I'm fixing to.
Okay.
The average compensation from the state to the majority of the counties across the state of Texas is out of each county's budget, the state is giving them about 25%. Okay, ours is 62%. The majority of our budget is 62% funded by the state, whereas most of the other counties is 25%.
Why is that?
I have no clue, but I do not ask questions on why. I just say, I want to keep it that way.
They like you?
I don't think it's that. I think we're just small and maybe they're over. I don't know.
On that note, one of the reasons, so Lynette used to get, she's at 270 is what we transferred in this last budget. Used to be 355. But because we always try to use the state's money before we use our money, she always comes in under. And so I would suggest that whatever we put in there, as long as things keep going the way they're going, and she keeps finding grant money, it's money we'll never spend. It's there to back up
It's there to back up
in case we need
what
it.
we need.
But-
The last 2 years I came in, between the 2 years, almost $100,000 under budget. In the last, 18 years or so, I don't have the exact number. What's it?
2 years ago?
Beverly has the last, she could get to everything. But we've probably come in at the last, I'm gonna say 20 years, probably 5 times. over
2 years
budget.
ago was 250 and last year was 198. We're at 176 now on county.
Yep.
My question is, you submitted 400,000, we have 355. I don't know if you talked to Beverly
Well,
since.
that was because we went down a considerable amount the year before, when COVID was hitting.
For this year though. So this is current, but I don't know if you talked to Beverly or not. This is the 355 that we have.
That came from here, that came from the 2021 budget. And it went, then it went up, because the judge and I had talked about it, and I had an extra 100 padding because of placements.
And you may still have that.
Yes.
Even at 355 because you're,
Right.
so I think, it's a guessing game as to what's going to
It's a
happen.
guessing game.
So-
Of course, I'm asking for the padding.
Right.
I will always do my best to cut us,
Sure.
one of the things that happens when we do the contract to get the $352,000, we're signing a contract saying that the county will give a minimum of $246,000 to the department for its operation. More times than not, the majority of the time, I'm writing something to the state asking for a variance waiver for them to forgive the amount that the county did not have to put up. Because they could come in and say, oh, you didn't put up the 246, so we want you to pay, if it was $20,000 under, we want you to pay the state that. We've always been able to get a variance on that. The last 2 years, that was to the tune of $97,000. I don't know what else to say, gentlemen.
Okay. No, you've said it.
But I
you've said
will
it all.
say this, I will thank y'all very much for letting us do the vehicle this year. And so.
Where is the vehicle?
It's at the office.
Oh, it came in?
Yes, it came in.
Okay.
The week before, though, Frank and Roy broke down in New Waverly, and they had to have a tow to Huntsville, because the wheel basically, I don't know, bearings make a wheel fall off, apparently. So,
Wait, is this a new vehicle?
huh?
The Tahoe that she
The
got.
Tahoe,
from
no,
DSL.
not,
The
yeah.
wheel already fell off?
No, the old one. The
Oh,
old one.
okay.
The old one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but thank God, the new one came in the next week.
Sheriff
So-
give you warranty on it?
It was ready to fall off when we hit it.
I know, it's ready to fall. I'm just thankful to God that there was no kids in it, not that far, because when my guys are transporting someone, that kid is shackled, handcuffed, with a waist belt, and in 100-degree heat. What a ride, what a way to, I mean, then my guys are, okay, what do you do with this? Now you're waiting for,
They have a gag?
no. Usually the kids are pretty, they're not,
No comment?
yeah, they're not too talkative, because they're a little worried about things. So the new car came in, but I did want to tell y'all, I know y'all agreed to spending $50,000 on it, so just so y'all know, it was $39,000, and out of that $39,000, we had years ago had a federal grant that I tapped into. It had been rat holing $24,000 of it, and so I used that $24,000 to offset the $39,000 on the vehicle that we got now. So, but that is the last of that federal money.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody got any questions?
Nope, sounds good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
Huh? Last, but obviously not least,
You gonna wait 5 minutes or let him have 20 minutes?
we're gonna go ahead, because he's only gonna take 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Should.
All right, I'm moving to adjourn. Oh,
All right, gentlemen, so I think y'all are aware of the PDO grant that we just took over. We're gonna be the admin for the 5 counties, and with that grant, they did approve $67,500 of indirect costs to the county. However, we use those funds, we don't have to report those, they're indirect costs. That's exactly how we're gonna report it to the state. We talked about it, and we believe that hiring another personnel to share between HR and myself would be the best thing to do. We are taking on 30 plus employees. Our grants have grown tremendously. I'm gonna go through a list of grants. Don't want to bore y'all. That's basically it. I think y'all had an idea of what we're gonna do. I do have a part-timer right now who I'm paying with my PID money, and that is who I intend to hire as a full-timer. Primary functions would be grants, but she will do other assistant auditors. She will be an assistant auditor. She will be budgeted under the general fund in my budget. And if you look at my budget, I did not go up, even though we're not budgeting for INCO. I just took away my capital outlay, my equipment. I usually use my PID money for that anyway. But that's not to say that in 2-3 years, I might request them if we need computers and the PID money runs out. So grant functions right now, the grants that we're doing, PDO, that's a $3.5 million grant. 2.4 of it is actual grant money. We just applied for the COPS grant, which was a very short fuse. We had about 2 weeks to do it. We submitted the first application a week after we found out about it, and then 2 weeks after we submitted the final application.
Stop for a second.
Sure.
Clarify something on that COPS grant that I think we may have misstated last Thursday. The COPS grant is applying for 6 new officers, up to 6 new officers for the sheriff's department. It is not for SROs.
That is correct.
FYI, okay? So we need to,
I understood that.
all right, just want to make sure everybody was on the same page, because I think
And
there
they're
may
going to be
have been.
patrolmen, they're not going to be all investigators, right?
That's correct.
They should just be deputies, because the SRO application for the COPS grant was a whole different route, a whole lot more requirements, and we just didn't know what route we wanted to go. We didn't know what the commissioner's
Yeah,
court
I
was going to say on
understand.
SROs. So we took the safe route and said SRO.
Keep on going,
deputies.
starting the rest.
So that's at max $125,000 for 3 years for each officer. So it's not going to pay their full salary benefits and all that. It's just $125,000 for the 3 years, not per year. We have FEMA, which is COVID related. We already received $98,000. We are pending to receive another $20,000. Those are expenses that we did not ask for reimbursement through the CARES grant that Beverly worked with all offices, and any miscellaneous expenses that we did that's not permanent, we requested reimbursement, and we were able to get another $120,000 on that. CDBG, we did apply through it. We went through the whole process. Unfortunately, we were disqualified for that one due to GrantWorks error. CTIP, I know Beverly's working with Precinct 3, Precinct 1 on that grant. We have bulletproof vests, body-worn cameras, Savage, which is a statewide automated system which lets the victims know when a prisoner or an inmate's been out of jail. SCAB, TIDC, and after all of this, all these grants that Beverly's working on, like a week ago, she came to me and she said, hey, don't forget, we have monthly reports due for WIC, Health Unit, and Juvenile Probation, which about 3 years ago, those three made up the grants department. And now those are, I don't want to say the back burner, but those are kind of just repetitive now because we have so many other grants in the works, and we just continue to try to help any department with finding funding. So again, this new person will help out with the PDO. She will do assistant auditor responsibilities, and what Linda and I have agreed on is we're going to share my current employee, Ernesto. He's basically going to be an HR payroll auditor, and he's the person who we're going to share with because he's very familiar with payroll. He audits payroll. I remove the monthly reports away from him, and he's going to concentrate only on payroll. So he will be the FT that we share between HR and myself, and then the new FT will be another assistant auditor for the office. But again, it will be covered with indirect costs from the PDO.
Did you ever find out that USDA grant, the $500,000?
I did not.
Is Beverly in?
She's not.
Okay, find out.
Roberto, one thing on that PID money, I know you mentioned it several times.
Mm-hmm.
Don't plan on that real strong this next year and a half or 2 years. It's going to be a substantial slowdown.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I have that. I touch it. Usually just capital outlay and expenses. All the computers that we have purchased with that, the new employee, that's what we're using.
You know, keep track of the developers acting daily. What's going on?
All right, we'll do.
So technically, what he's asking for is the new employee that the PDO is going to pay for. So, okay, any other questions?
Good.
All right, we are then not adjourned. We're going to go to the next subject, which is subdivisions. And David, do you want to just kick off what you and I talked about, or you want me to talk about it?
What do you want me to say about it?
Well, here, okay, so let me just read to y'all what our rules say. Our rules say that
A subdivision not provided water by a public water system requires a water availability analysis, which includes drilling test wells or using wells that are close by. And the test wells that they're required to do is a test well and it's got a different name for it.
Then you call it recovery.
monitor.
A monitor test is what our rules require. And it calls for 2 of those for every 100 acres in the subdivision. So, for instance, I've got 2,900 acres
That's a lot of wells.
being approved or going to be up for preliminary here very shortly up north in Hernandez that are not serviced by a public water system. That would require, it's 2,800 acres, I think, require 56 wells that the developer drills on this place. I don't know that we've had that situation before, or if we have, I don't know that we've hammered the developers on
Is
that.
he having a public water supply system put in?
No.
What are you going to do with individual wells?
Individual wells, 10 to 12 acre lots,
Yeah. So it's
Right now-
300 house home, roughly.
ish, yeah, somewhere in that range. When I brought this well situation up to him, I actually had a meeting with him this afternoon, but he wasn't real pleased with that and says that's not really, we have a.
Okay, if I'm reading that right, that is subdivisions to be served by a proposed new public water supply system.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Well, that's what I was just reading. It's an existing. What did we do up, the same guy, Dan Mullen?
Yeah.
What did we do up that north, way up on Parkway
They're all
37?
individual wells.
But he didn't have to drill test wells for it. He did? How many?
I want to recall that one up there.
Try to pitch. It's required to be served by private water.
20? He drilled 20?
Well, they had some existing, and then he drilled some other ones.
My question is, if they drill one of these wells for, they're doing it for find out the flow of water.
Right.
Can they use that for a well?
Sure. I'm assuming so. So he'd have 56 lots that he could sell at a premium because they've already got a well on it.
Yeah.
If he places them scatters them out.
Well, it seems like maybe he's not losing no money then.
No, I agree. I think the response though was, you know what, these are 10 to 12 acre lots. We could just make them 3 acre lots and we could have 800 lots up there instead of
There's still got real well.
We still got to do it.
It's the same amount of wells, because it's per 100 acres. And it also increases his fire prevention control capacity.
Yeah.
He's got a lot
In
more
the
sites.
area where they're saying that, I got some friends live right there.
I've
And some of them
indicated,
going, some of the wells going empty.
I've indicated to him that we're gonna have to follow the regs. I've already got people calling me worried about water capacity.
So he's done that in all these other ones, like up in San Joaquin Hills where he's at,
And then use them on the lot.
Yeah, because even one of the wells that he had, that was there already, they used that one to supply water for the storage tanks.
We had a subdivision go in down there that the subdivider is drilling wells and selling a parcel with the wells. That got him away from doing the test well things.
I think it was just saying out loud, hey, you gotta drill 56 wells up here, was what made me go.
Well, he's gonna have 300 lots.
Correct.
He could have a well in each lot.
Almost, yeah. So
He'd have
He would have 56 prime lots.
I talked to our in-house engineers, Alan, I believe, called me back, and he said, well, let me check into what other places do it. And he called me back and said, I'd make them do it. He said, it's not that unusual to have 2 wells per every 100 acres as part of the regs.
That sounds like, to me, really, not much.
Yeah. Well,
I got 1 well. And I think TCEQ allows you, 1 acre foot of water per year, or close to that, or acre and a half
on a
residential well, and you're gonna have 300 lots. He's gonna utilize these 56 wells if he puts these wells where you need to put them. I'm sure he's gonna have a plat design where these lots are. Why not put a well on each one?
So he's already done this before?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, up there in
San
Park
Joaquin.
37.
And that was my question, is I wanted, the main answer I want to know, has he done this before? Because if he's worried about doing it here, and he's already
I
done
don't
it
think he's so
before, he
much
should
probably
have.
worried about doing the test work, because he knows he has to do it. I think when David said 56, that probably, oh, wait a minute.
Well, he sent me a little plat and it had like 6 marked on it. This is what we're proposing. These 6 or 7
The
wells.
one San Martin Hills, he just did, the report I got had 16,
16 in San Joaquin, really?
yeah, 16 tests.
And how many acres was that?
1,500. And there were some
Well,
existing wells.
According to our regs, he should have 30.
Yeah.
But he said there's some existing ones already there.
Well, then they were using those as test sites as well.
Which, are there any existing ones on that one?
There may be 1 or 2 outside, but that counts as 1 well. I don't think you can use that existing well for several places, in my mind.
Yeah, like I say, to me, he's a fantastic developer. I mean, he's one of the best we've ever dealt with.
Yeah.
Professional, what they produce, what they sell them for. If you're going to have 300 lots, 56 wells, and it's not like he had to break this whole 2,900 acres down in one take either.
Yeah.
If they're worried about paying for these wells,
Yeah.
that can be taken down to steps. If there's no water, we need to know. Because Chris has run into this before. I mean, once we sign that piece of paper, we're guaranteeing them people water.
As we approve phases, would we approve like phase 1 with just the wells drilled for that phase?
That's where I would
So
head
you can
for.
recoup some money and
In the
move
next
on to
phase,
phase
if
2.
there's no water
Yeah.
available, they can't approve it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly where I'd head for.
Yeah.
Okay, then we're not taking action. I probably wasn't aware of how this works, so I want to listen to what y'all have to say,
Because I know that what Dan likes to do, he likes to make sure the whole piece of land's gonna work for him.
He was afraid that he has lots of buyers that buy 2 or 3 lots
Exactly.
together, and that then he might have several wells. Well, if you got 250 lots and 56 wells, you could space them out, but they're not right next to each other, and make sure that you're not
Someone's got
selling
water.
2 wells.
And he does have a track record for that.
Yeah,
Most of the subdivisions he's done, people bought 2 and 3 lots,
yeah.
just because they want the big
Which is
one.
good. The folks up in that direction will appreciate that, but they're very worried about the water and having to drop their wells and the drought and everything else adds to that, so.
All right.
And he's in the heart of, what they call that, deer disease, DVA, what do they call that?
CWD.
That's where it started.
That's probably why he sold it, part of it.
Record Buck Ranch is
Record bucket.
That's where it started.
Is he gonna leave the elk on there?
I don't know.
You know,
All I
he's
gotta
got
say
those
is, Dave, come January, I'm gonna give you Chuck's personal number from Record Buck and you deal with him.
Okay.
Sound like they're selling it all fast. They got the whole thing to sell.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then, with that, we have a Commissioners Court Thursday morning, and then we have a budget workshop at 1:30.
Following.
So how many people do we have on the budget workshop for Thursday?
Another, it's quite a few.
Gina,
She got the whole.
Who's on it?
whole thing here.
Yeah, Debbie
All sorts of
Southwell,
coming in.
Darcy,
Say it again, start over,
Debbie Southwell,
okay?
Darcy Hasty, Glenn Klaus, Ruben Gonzalez, Gina, and Jen Chabot.